Today I once again proved that my channel is always on top of what's relevant. Like today's film, The Sadness, that really was popular when it came out, like 8 months ago. Today we are indeed talking about the 2021 Taiwanese zombie film The Sadness that really made a big splash when it originally came out. You had people in the horror community praising it for being mindless, gory zombie fun, and you had people criticizing it in the horror community for being mindless, zombie gory fun. Personally, I was interested because I saw the trailer when it originally came out and I thought to myself, this looks fun, but I'm kind of tired of the whole zombie genre. And then last week somebody, Albert Geen, commented on my last video saying you should really review The Sadness. So I popped this movie in and gave it a watch, and oh boy do I not regret my decision. The film starts with a young couple laying in bed, and once they wake up they talk about their vacation that they're going on next week. And the guy has to cancel it. He's basically like, yo babe, I'm sorry, but you know, I have this client, you know, he's German and you know, he's pretty rich and you know, I haven't had a lot of work recently. So from what I assume, this guy works in video production, and just like me, you should just quit while you're ahead, dude. It's not worth it. Of course, his girlfriend is not very happy about it, and this causes an argument in the morning. The guy is very apologetic, and then we cut to a scene where he eats his breakfast. He watches a video and we are told the plot of this film. So okay, it's super absurd. So the plot of this film is like there's a virus that's spreading very quickly, and it's kind of like a flu but like more hardcore, and then you know the guy talks to his neighbor, and his neighbor is like this crazy guy who would never really exist in real life, and this neighbor is basically like, yeah, this is a whole bunch of bullshit, you know, it's the government trying to control the stock market. Oh fuck, they just described the past 2 years. I hate this planet. However, unlike what the neighbor says, we get a sneak peek that this virus might not be bullshit, because our lead man looks through his window and sees an old lady with blood in her eyes standing on a rooftop. I see grandmama hasn't taken her meds again. That old bitch. After the fun conversation with the neighbor, we cut to the man driving his little scooter around, and he drives his girlfriend to the train station. Afterwards, he stops to get a coffee, and there we see the lady that was on the rooftop come in. We also discover that she's actually a grandma of a customer who's like, yo grandma, the fuck you doing here? And then grandma spits on her grandson and he's like, yo, what's happening with this bitch? And then the grandma takes the fryer and fries the cashier at the coffee shop. And that's exactly how this film got the reputation it got when it came out. The gore is absurdly gruesome. It's just wonderful, like just full out gore, blood and guts, no shame about it. This film purely exists to show off some wonderful special effects. And that's probably the highlight of the film, because let's be honest, the plot is nothing original. I think we've all seen this film before. We can predict where it goes and we can predict how it will end. However, the brutality of the gore and the special effects makes it worth it, because if you've only been watching American zombie movies, you're probably used to some shit like World War Z, and God forbid that TV show that I fucking forgot the name of. Walking Dead. And after she deep fries the cashier, the grandson goes full sicko mode. And by that I mean he violently stabs his friend that was just hanging out drinking coffee. Let the man drink his coffee. And then our main character runs out of the coffee shop and the psychotic grandma runs after him, but she gets hit by a car. And then we get this hilarious sequence where everybody runs after our main character. There's a lady that jumps off a roof, and then everybody around our main character just runs after him. And then our main character sees the situation around and he's like, I got to get the fuck out of Dodge, and that's exactly what he does until he goes back home, where of course his conspiracy theorist neighbor is waiting for him, and he's gonna chop off his fingers. No more finger banging for you, good sir. And of course, in the meantime, he tries to contact his girlfriend, who we'll see is not answering his phone calls and his texts, not because she's cheating on him, well, because she's dealing with zombie problems of her own. We cut back to her on the train, and we can assume it's earlier in the day before everything went to shit with the guy, and she's just reading her book, minding her own business, until a strange old creepy man starts talking to her. And you can see our lady is obviously uncomfortable with the situation, and the guy just keeps, talking to her, and he's like, oh, it's fun seeing somebody read a book, because now everybody's so focused on their phone. And the lady's like, okay, boomer, I'm trying to read my words on paper. And then he gets super nervous, and he's like, I've been seeing you on this train. I wanted to tell you that you're very beautiful. And she's like, yo, what the fuck? And then he starts, trying to touch her, and she's like, whoa, sir, no. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then when somebody else comes on the train, she switches seat, and you can see the creepy old guy is very insulted by that, and no way will he ever turn into a zombie and try to take revenge on her. Spoiler alert. That's exactly what happens. But before that, he needs to become a zombie. And he will become a zombie after a guy on the train goes postal in this wonderfully gory scene that I can sadly not show anything of, where he just stabs everybody like 30 times on the train, and there's just blood everywhere. And it's, again, glorious. Thank you, Taiwan. During the carnage, the girl that switched seat with our main character, well, she gets stabbed in the eye by the old creepy guy's umbrella. And then when the train stops, people can finally get out, and our two ladies will do exactly that. As the ladies run away, and then the lady that switched seat, they introduce themselves and they have this little conversation. We discover that her name is Molly, and our main lead lady's name is Kat. Whatever, they talk, and then our creepy old fuck, of course, just comes out of the corner, and he's like, hey, ladies? And our ladies are like, fucking shit. And they run away again, and they hit a man who's like, what are you, blind? And then he sees that that Molly is obviously blind because, she's bleeding from the eye, for fuck's sakes. And then he's apologetic, and then he turns around and see the old zombie guy, and he's like, have you been hurting these ladies? And then you see what happens when you go full White Knight. He gets fucking destroyed. But again, this gives time to our ladies to run away, and then they see a security guard that's closing the exit to the train station, and they just run and slide under there like an action movie from the 80s, which of course pisses them off, and then they give shit to the security guard, and then Molly just punches him, and he's crying like a little bitch. We go back to our man who's just driving around the city on his little moped, and we just see carnage, blood, and guts, and again, every scene with gore is magnificent. Then he drives out of the city to, fix his fingers. He hears some noises, takes something on the ground that's kind of like a farming tool. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. My mother was. I'm not interested in anything that has to do with manual labor, so fuck that shit. So he takes his farming tool and tries to defend someone that's getting attacked by zombie. He does an okay job. I mean, he's no Charles Bronson in Death Wish, but we managed to, shoo away the zombies. But they come back by throwing rocks at him like school children, and he just runs away. There's a lot of running away in this film because they need to, move the story along, because the plot is very thin and they need excuse for carnage, which I appreciate. During that time, our ladies get to the hospital, and Molly gets sent to the operation room, and during that time, our main lady tries to call her boyfriend on the security guard's phone, and there's a very funny scene, but it gets interrupted by what is probably my favorite scene of the film. And by that time I had kind of forgotten that this was a Taiwanese production. However, the press conference scene parodying the Chinese president kind of reminded me of that fact, because during the press conference you have this clearly Xi Jinping character do a conference, and you know, everybody in the hospital is like, look at this dumbass, he just says nothing, and then China's dictator proceeds to get blown up by a kamikaze zombie. That scene is probably not gonna age very well once, you know, China invades Taiwan. In probably not a long time. The hospital scene gets interrupted by, yes, the creepy old man, who's this film's arch nemesis. He shows up, everything goes crazy, Our Lady gets away, however, Molly gets it pretty badly. If you've been subscribed to my channel, you know that I've reviewed 2 of the Lust of the Dead films, and let's just say that this film might borrow some aspects of that series. Think of this film as Lust of the Dead, but good. During that time, our 2 characters finally get to reach each other on the phone, and they discuss the situation, and she tells him that she's at the hospital, and he tells her that he'll do his best to get there before she fucking dies. Then the movie kills off the character it needs to kill off, like the security guard, and then we finally get the final battle between the creepy old man and our main lady, and holy shit does she fucks his shit up. And then we meet this weird doctor who's an actual doctor, however he does have tendencies of being a crazy ass guy. You see, he's hidden in the maternity ward, and let's just say that he took care of every crying little shit. And he saves Our Lady, but then he asks her to take the shower, take some blood tests, and when she discovers that he's been, you know, playing God with babies, she's a bit surprised, and then he injects the virus into her and tells her that there's an helicopter coming, and if she's okay by 5 minutes, that means that she has antibodies that protect her from the virus, so they will need her to study her for the possible vaccine. And of course, she's okay, because she's our main character. Then our 2 characters finally meet again, however, the man has turned into a psychotic zombie, and he's not very happy seeing her with another man. And this film ends by the lady running away, which is kind of sad because I would have really liked seeing her destroy her boyfriend, but you know, we can't have everything in life. So, do I recommend The Sadness? Absolutely. Honestly, especially after watching a terrible zombie movie last week, this is a breath of fresh air. Like I said, it's in no way original. This is not a new idea pushed. It's just a silly zombie film, but the gore makes up for the lack of originality. Also, it's always fun seeing non-Western produced zombie films because every culture has their different point of view on what a zombie is. I'm always surprised seeing, you know, Asian zombie films because they're clearly influenced by American zombie films, but they throw in their own culture's little, you know, little touch. But this one, you know, the zombies are running, it kind of ignores every traditional aspect of zombies, which I know pisses a lot of people off, but it's a zombie movie in 2022, who gives a fuck? Just be happy that there's an actual good zombie film for once. So yeah, let me know what you thought about The Sadness in the comments. I really liked it, and I think you should watch it if you're a fan of gore, because holy shit does it have a lot of that. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe. It's the first time I say that. It kind of made me cringe, but please, it actually really helps me out. See you guys next time.